Hey guys, and welcome to another side video. So every year that I've gone to New York Comic Con, I always say I'm gonna do some big Comic Con video where I talk about what I did, and I always, because I tended to go all 4 days, I would amass a huge amount of footage and pictures and stories and stuff I bought, and then it would just get so overwhelming because I also wanted to do, like, regular videos during the weeks following, and I would never do it. In fact, I think the only time I ever posted anything from those videos was my pickle juice video that I did during the pickle fried chicken vlog. But other than that, I tend to just forget it ever happened and, just sort of tweet about it a little bit, and that was it. So, this year, I'm not going to New York Comic Con, but I did go to Fan Expo Boston, last week, up in Boston. I went with my cousin who had gone last year and recommended it, and we decided we were going to go this year. It was amazing. We went there, did a lot of cool stuff. We only went for 1 day, so I kind of had to pack it in. But unlike New York Comic Con, you can actually, kind of see everything in 1 day. New York Comic Con is if you don't go all 4 days, you're not going at all, really, because there'll always be something that you regret missing from a day that you didn't attend. I know that the times I only went 1 day, there was always oh man, I wish I was there today. So, Boston Fan Expo, I thought it was very fun. I enjoyed it. It was much less densely packed than New York Comic Con because it wasn't in New York. Boston is New York without, the concentration of people. So that aspect was very fun. And it was in a smaller venue. Everything was sort of laid out in one big show floor, as opposed to New York Comic Con, where it's you go up to the show floor, you go down to the autographs, you go that way to Artist Alley, you go that way to the displays, you have the parking lot, and everything. It's like you go all 4 days, you can't move your legs when you get home on day 4. But, Boston Fan Expo, it was a lot easier to recover from, even after only going 1 day. So, I guess what I'm going to do is, this is going to be more of a haul video and talk about all the stuff I bought, and I will intersperse with relevant anecdotes from the day. So, we went in there, the biggest difference from New York Comic Con is that I bought my ticket the week before, and I still got a ticket. New York Comic Con, you don't buy it when they go on sale. You're not going. And I bought the ticket, and we got there, and more importantly, we got there when the show opened at 10. We walked in, we got our badges, actually, I never took my badge out of my backpack. So let me where is it? Here it is. So we went in, we got our badges. According to my cousin, they did wristbands last year, and now they're doing the traditional badge. And they're doing the tapping thing, but it's a lot, I don't know. It's different. It felt different from New York Comic Con. It didn't feel as big. So we got our badges, and we just walked onto the show floor. Meanwhile, at New York Comic Con, if you show up at 10 when they open the doors, you have to go down into the corral, you have to weave through everything, and then you'll get to the show floor by maybe 10:30, 11. So it was actually kind of awesome that you were able to just go right in. So, in case it wasn't obvious from the shirt, I reused my Ted Cord costume from, actually my last New York Comic Con. I was gonna wear, my Ash Tyler cosplay, but I thought there's not really any Star Trek people there, and in fact, the people I was excited to see there, the celebrities I was excited to see were both DC comics related, so I went with the Blue Beetle costume. And also because it's it's the middle of August. It's a lightweight costume. The only aspect I didn't use were the last time in October I wore black gloves. I did not wear them this time because it was like sweltering. And, my wrists were sweaty from the wristbands, which it's my fault. I told myself, in 2016? 2017. Whenever the last time I went, I told myself, if I ever do this costume again, I will make wristbands from scratch, and they will not be made out of duct tape. And the thing was, we had planned it so haphazardly, where we said we were going to do it, we didn't agree on a day until the week before, so I didn't have time to completely refabricate the wristbands. The one change I did make with the help of my cousin was that instead of using duct tape to seal it around my arm, he actually had Velcro, pieces of Velcro that I used, which actually made it a little better. Which he was actually using because he went as a Team Rocket grunt, so he had Pokeballs on his belt. So I was wearing my Blue Beetle costume, which was great, and it leads to a missed opportunity that my brain was all jumbled and I didn't really think about it. So the first thing I did when we walked in, I was looking for the artist alley because I wanted to meet Gail Simone, who is the writer of the many things from every comic company ever, but my favorite work of hers is the New 52 Batgirl. Because I read the Batgirl of Burnside first, and I was like, wow, this is okay. I like the costume, but it's not really what I expected a Batgirl comic to be. Like, I was expecting something different. So when I got DC Universe, I went back and read the beginning of the run, and I was like, oh, this is what I thought Batgirl of Burnside was going to be. So I got this trade signed. I owned this beforehand. I got it signed by Gail Simone, and it was great. She was very nice. So basically, what I like about the lines for, like, the big celebrities, the ones who only do the autographing, like, they don't have a booth or whatever, the ones who just do the autographing in the autographing section, not like Gail Simone, who's in the artist alley because, she's, like, also doing booth things. And not just sitting in, like, the green room all day. She's, like, out, in the show floor. You wait on that line for the celebrity, so you have a lot of time to think and kind of formulate what you want to say. With, like, the booths in the artist alley, they're just there. So, me and my cousin, I was trying to find it. The map was a little confusing because they list the numbers on the map, but they don't list the numbers, they don't list, like, the names. So you have to look to the side, and it's weird. The gist of this is so that we, like, walked towards it, and I suddenly saw Gail Simone's booth, and I, like, froze. And I was like, there it is. And my cousin's like, you have to go up, and you have to go up to the booth. And I was like, I know, I just have to. It was like I was more starstruck by Gail Simone because of Batgirl. Because, like, this is probably, I mean, in terms of what I have read, this is, like, the best New 52 comic. Because all the other New 52 comics had, like, a legacy that they had to uphold, and that they were rewriting the comics that people loved for years. Barbara never had her own series until this one. So this was, like, she had the best opportunity to, like, she was able to start fresh, but she had written, obviously, Oracle before, so it was like, I don't know. I'm rambling about this because it was just like, I was like starstruck, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go up there, I'm gonna say what I want to say, and I did it, and I was very proud of myself for not, like, being, like, weird and silent. I spoke. Gail Simone was very nice. So next up, this is unrelated to, like, thing. There was a booth. There were a lot of booths where you could spin wheels. So there was one booth, you spun a wheel, you got a free comic. And so me and my cousin and his friend who came with us, it was her first Comic-Con. It was That was fun, because it's always fun to see people's new reactions. So it was the Upshot booth, and so my cousin spun the wheel, his friend spun the wheel, they both got these. It's a preview issue of what they're planning, and then I spun it, and I also got this, but the guy was nice. He was like, yeah, let's give you something different, and I got this, which it was the one I really wanted because of just how it looks. This looks like Alex Ross artwork here, and it's Mark Millar. I have no real attachment to him, but I know he's a talented writer. And just it looked interesting, and it is really interesting. I'm actually, it's about it's basically about if Flash Gordon came home to Earth and had to just get married, have kids, and get a job because nobody believes that he went into space and became a hero. And I'm actually going to track down the other 5 issues because I really enjoyed it. And I mean, the artwork is awesome. So after that, at the last 2 times I've gone to a convention, New York Comic Con and Boston, I made it a point to seek out, comics, because I don't usually buy comics, but I wanted to seek out, and I tend to seek out comics featuring the Blue Beetle, because I've kind of dedicated myself to, at this point, not buying the floppies anymore. I know that's bad, because they measure stuff by the floppies, but I just don't have room for a million floppies. I tend to buy trades now. But I make an exception for old stuff, so I picked up a copy of Captain Atom number 84 from Charlton Comics because it also features an early appearance of Ted Kord. It was $25, a little expensive. I bought Ted's debut issue at New York Comic Con for $4, but this is still it's a comic from 1967. I'm willing to pay $25 because I can find it online for free, but this is a physical copy, and I just think it's cool. So the next thing I did, so at New York Comic Con the last time I went, I met Kevin Conroy, and I will overlay the picture. So when I was going here, they had the cast of Boy Meets World, which to you might not sound related to Batman, but if you are astute and you remember voice actors, you'll know that Will Friedle, who played Eric Matthews and Ron Stoppable and Kim Possible, also played Terry McGinnis in Batman Beyond, which is pretty much my favorite Batman show because it not only has Kevin Conroy as grumpy Bruce Wayne, but it's got Will Friedle as Terry McGinnis. So I got his autograph and a picture because I wanted to mirror what I did with Kevin Conroy. So now I have I think this is a cool display piece. And Will Friedle was nice, and I forgot that he was on Batman the Brave and the Bold. And that might not sound like a big deal. He's done voice acting for a lot of things. You can't be expected to remember all of it. I should be, because not only did he play Jaime Reyes, the third Blue Beetle, but he was also my exposure to the Blue Beetle character, and the episode Fall of the Blue Beetle, which he was basically the star of, was my first exposure to Ted Kord, who is my favorite superhero ever, and I did not tell him that, because I forgot about Batman the Brave and the Bold. I was so focused on Batman Beyond, I forgot he was Jaime Reyes, which I am so ashamed of, because I would not have been wearing this shirt, this costume, if it was not for Will Friedle being Jaime. On Batman the Brave and the Bold, that was my first exposure to the character. And I felt I was like, damn it. I looked it up later and I was like, oh, of course, he was Jaime. I was thinking I had heard it mentioned that he was the Blue Beetle, and I was like, no, he wasn't. He was never Ted Kord. Will Wheaton was Ted Kord on Brave and the Bold. I had Brave and the Bold in my head. And I just forgot that he played him. And it's a shame because he is the reason that I found Ted Kord. I never would have been a fan of the Blue Beetle if it wasn't for Brave and the Bold, and voice acting had a big part in that. So that's my blunder. Gee, I hope someone got fired for that blunder. I have fired myself. It's okay. The next thing, so we went around, my cousin brought me to it was a screening of the first 4 episodes of My Hero Academia, which I had tried to watch, and, I couldn't really get into, because I just have too many TV shows to watch. I'm still working on Frasier, I'm rewatching MASH, I'm rewatching Batman Beyond. There's all these new shows on TV. We're gonna have Crisis on Infinite Earth, so I gotta go watch Black Lightning and Batwoman. So we went to that. It's a very good show. I will admit it. It is pretty awesome, and I want to watch it. I just don't have time. I just do not have time to watch a new, long-running show, because the manga's still running, which means that the show is probably going to be running forever. I mean, we were talking about it later, because my biggest animes, besides Pokemon and Dragon Ball, were Death Note, the biggest, Japanese things. I read the manga, in high school, and I couldn't really get into the anime because I kind of already knew the story. And the other thing was Case Closed, aka Detective Conan, which is still running today, which it's been running for like 30 years. It boggles my mind. I assumed it ended years. Now I know why I never ended up finishing reading it. Because I was reading the manga, I was reading scans online, and I know why I never finished it, because it just kept coming. Like, it never ended. It just got overwhelming, I think, at a certain point. That, and then we also... we went to a nerd improv panel, which was, it wasn't really nerd improv. It was like, they were doing it at a convention, but like the show itself, it was a musical. And it was really amazing. I wonder if I still have the business, I do. They do stuff for, Catalyst Comedy, if you're up in Boston, in that area, I guess they do stuff up there. I didn't know what to expect. My cousin just wanted to go to it because it sounded cool, and I don't know what I was expecting going in, but it was hilarious. It was awesome. And the best part is, I can't even tell you what I saw because, it's been a week and I don't remember, but if you go see them again, you'll never see the same show. So you'll see something probably of the same caliber, but it'll be different. So that was that. That was fun. I did enjoy that. We only really did 2 panels. A lot of the panel schedule wasn't really interesting. And then, we walked around the show floor a lot. They had the 501st Legion was there. There was, a lot of cool cosplays, stuff I never thought I'd see. We had, I don't want to say drilled, but we had sort of given my cousin's friend the rundown of, what to expect to see. Male Misty, male Slave Leia, Deadpool's, all the cosplays you'll see. And we actually pretty much hit bingo on our list of cosplays that we expected to see. You always get at least a Doctor. They actually had a TARDIS set up, so, you had a 4th Doctor, a 6th Doctor, a 1st Doctor, a War Doctor. I don't think there was a War Doctor, but, there was a lot of that. Now, I kind of regretted, not wearing a Doctor Who costume, because I do have a couple. I actually want to put together a 4th Doctor costume, one day. With a properly fitting coat. I have a velvet coat that's kind of it's not long, but it's sort of like what he wore in, his first season and kind of in his last season. So that's that. What else happened? Oh, yeah. And then there was a booth. They had, vintage stuff. And I'm always fascinated by vintage stuff, but more so in the sense that, that'll make a cool video. They had old, pulp novels, and also were selling a few old issues of Amazing Stories, which is something I thought would be cool to own. This is actually the last issue of the run of Amazing Stories, the last pulp format from 1953. And I definitely plan on doing a video where I kind of flip through this and figure out what might be fun to talk about. Obviously, I'll know more once I read it. This is truly old, it's kind of falling apart, so I might have to seek out a PDF to really go through it. This is not nearly as old. This is from the 80s. I just thought the cover looked really cool. Like, look at that. I like the space stuff, and I mean, if I'm being honest, the girl on the cover is kind of attractive. And I like the Merchanter's Luck. I don't know. I like the title. And Rendezvous at Down Below Station. I like it. I judge books by their cover. I kind of just find it interesting to see stuff like that. So that was the and then other than that, I bought, for gifts for friends and family, t-shirts. That's little, so I spent a lot of time in the t-shirt tower and the t-shirt booths. And that was pretty much, my cousin got a box set of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which we got back to his house, and he insisted on, because I watched Avatar back when it was on, like I did, but he insisted on, like, I watched a little bit of it, like I don't remember all of it, but I watched enough that I know the show. He insisted on showing me Toph's debut episode, which was very good, and we watched, like, a couple of the shorts, which was interesting. It was great. And it was also cool because, like, they had, like, ads at the beginning, and because it's an old DVD, it was, like, classic Nickelodeon, like, old SpongeBob, like, old Fairly Odd Parents, like, stuff like that. Yeah. Oh, I don't have the cup. Also, I don't have the cup to show you because I left it with my cousin because I didn't have room for it in my suitcase, and we went halvesies in on it. But they had, and I would love New York Comic Con to do this. They had Wild Bill's soda booths. It's the one where you get, like, the metal cup, and they did free refills all day. So we were circling around that booth like crazy, trying all the flavors. My favorite was, I think, a tie between the grape and the root beer. I have to say, if I had to pick a favorite soda, I think it'd be root beer. I'm kind of like a soda enthusiast. I like different kinds. I like trying different kinds of soda. Yeah, that was, I think that was the last thing I really had to say about it. They didn't really have, like, yes, they actually did have the Verizon booth, and I actually kind of weaseled my way into it. I went up with my cousin. He entered in his zip code. He can't get Verizon Fios or whatever because of where he lives. And so they were like, okay, here's your ticket. You can go get, like, and they were giving out ice cream. I actually do have Verizon Fios, but they didn't ask me. So I was like, whatever. Because I figured I might have to, like, listen to something. So I was like, whatever. So I got Oreo ice cream. I mean, you're given a choice between vanilla chocolate, vanilla strawberry, and Oreo. You pick Oreo. It was fun. So I think ultimately that was my New York Comic Con experience. This has turned out to be a much longer video than I intended because I got sidetracked. I think I got sidetracked by talking about Gail Simone, who is phenomenal. As a writer, her Twitter feed is amazing. I think that maybe that's why I was so starstruck, because I don't follow Will Friedle on Twitter. I follow Gail Simone on Twitter. I have responded to her tweets. I think I'm terrified of, like, I think I was more terrified of, like, doing something stupid and then, like, later on replying to one of her tweets when she does, like, the what are your favorite memories of, like, this or whatever, and having her and, like, feeling that she would recognize, like, my avatar and be like, oh, that's that guy that made an ass out of himself. And I'd be like, no! But, obviously I didn't. I don't think, even if she did recognize me, I don't think she would think in those terms. That's just how my brain works. Yeah, that is my new, not my new, if I said New York Comic Con when I started this, I apologize. This is my Boston Fan Expo experience. I thought it was fun. I would love to go back. It's just, it's a trek up from New York, I gotta go all the way up to Boston. It's a lot. New York Comic Con is easier. I take the train. But I would definitely go back. It was very fun. I actually would love to go to other conventions in sort of, like, the same vein. I've heard Keystone in Philadelphia is cool. I'll have to see if my cousin would be interested in both of us trekking down for that, because that could be fun at one point. But yeah, it was a fun experience. I enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next video. See you then. Thank you all for watching, and if you liked the video, you can hit subscribe and watch one of my other videos. My videos can be found on any of these fine sites, and if you want to help out, maybe consider supporting the show on Patreon. See you next time.